Alright, so this alien is something you've seen at previous Seabugs. I've been working on it a little bit over the years. And you can start to see some of the progress. I reduced this cod piece at the request of internet feedback.
What is that enormous nonsense?
This is sort of where the total model is at right now. And if you turn on simplify, so you hide all the various subdivision modifiers. Turn is. It looks cooler this way, I think. What do you guys think? Do you think it should be like hard plates or like, sort of soft like motorcycle leather strips?
I think it should be hard plates.
A little bit of it.
Especially since you're going with
Depends on what's down in the pit, right?
Yeah.
You should try and do it both ways and try and please everybody.
It depends ultimately what your
Actually,
final artifact is, right? Are you doing this for like motion or trying to bake out forms for like a real-time asset?
I want it to be basically.
He's making an alien.
So my sort of production goal here is to make a character who sort of fits in next-gen console ideas of what you can do with a character, how heavy you can make them, so on and so forth.
Yeah, sometimes with big ant normals, you have to be careful about your creases because you can't have them super sharp because they won't fit out nicely. So it's better to have
One
more space.
Cycles actually supports cage master.
So like you can see the faces that I'm at right now is just under 25,000 mass spec characters. The main character was allowed like 30,000 with his gun and everything. So I figure he's like, he still needs an accessory over here, so it's not quite there. Oh yeah, and he still needs feet faces. And yeah, I wanted to talk about retopology a little bit. So that's how I made his face, and you can see his head model.
Oh yeah, there's also poly strips.
Yeah.
Have you tried
I have not used polystrips yet. Is there a free version yet?
You can get it for free. It is open source.
Okay.
But you can also pay for it.
Yeah. I'm a cheapskate.
Then it is open. Then you can. It has a GitHub thing, and I'm pretty sure it's just like. I don't know if you need to build anything.
You can see how a lot of these edge loops are pretty good, but they maintain a lot of detail. And how did I do that? It's a couple of things. So we've talked about retopology in the past at Seabug. Here I have this nice dense mesh that I sculpted. The way I sculpted it was just using, in sculpt mode, turning on dynamic topology. So I'm actually gonna show you on a cube really fast. So if I have a cube, we turn on dynamic, and I think the only thing here in sculpt mode, if I turn on dynamic topology, what it does is based on my settings for the dynamic topology, I'm gonna set it down to like 8 pixels. Number lock. Based on your level of detail, the smaller the pixels, the more it's going to divide it.
And it's also relative to your viewport.
Yeah, it's relatively to your viewport. So the more you zoom in,
it can be.
Yeah. There's also a constant detail. There's a way to like set it to perspective.
What version of Blender is this?
2.71.
Okay, then it should have constant detail.
But so my favorite brush is the polish brush. No, that's not it.
I have not used it yet.
I thought yours was the.
No, it's
Not the
scrapes
polish.
peaks, which is shift 6. And then what you do is you set it to a very hard curve. Yeah, you can see I already got that. And now I can very quickly sort of have that chisel look. This is even better with the tablet. So that's basically the idea behind dynamic topology. As I paint, I get the exact detail. I don't have to worry about mesh flow at this point. I can just go crazy and have fun.
Why is it supposed to be doing mirror?
I have X mirror turned on.
Well, you have mirror on the X.
Yeah. So if I turn that off, yeah, it doesn't.
The X is relative to your view because it's doing everything.
No, it's basically, yeah, wherever.
Oh, it's, okay, so
Yeah.
it's
So I
relative.
turned it off now. If I do it over here, whatever happens on this side happens on that side.
I think you can like try to mirror one side to the other, can't you?
Yeah. Yeah, you can also use the symmetrize
Yeah.
button and it'll try and figure it out.
Very useful for fixing mistakes you made while you had it turned off.
Yeah.
And you can press optimize too to make it work better.
You can make an entire art style out of that.
Yeah. So anyways, let's say you do that. So that's step 1. And then step 2 is alien head. Good job. Good sculpting. Now the question is, how do I turn this mesh, which has like a million faces and is quite unusable, into something that is usable? And the way you do that is with dynamic topology. So I'm going to create a plane. I'm going to scale all these verts down to 0. Remove doubles. So I have one vert, right? With Control-Shift-Tab, I can change my snap elements. I'm going to change it to face and make sure that you have individual elements turned on. Project individual elements onto the surface. So now, I'm actually going to turn this on permanently. So now when I go like this, I can start to say, let's do an eyeball.
Are those eye sockets, I'm guessing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Although, you know, in H.R. Geiger-esque fashion, for my inspiration, I was going with like a crowning baby.
Oh, I'll look at.
Yeah. Oop, I don't know.
Why would you put a column with it?
Wasn't there like a 3-year-old man that recently was elected?
So anyways, that's really slow. We should use B surfaces instead. How do we do that? First off, we turn on the add-on. So we go into your add-ons, turn on B surfaces. And this lets us use grease pencil to generate surfaces really, really fast. If you're not familiar with grease pencil, whenever you hold D, you go into grease pencil mode. So I'm holding D and then drawing with left click. And I'm now holding D and drawing with right click for erase. You can see the grease pencil settings over here, and we want to change one thing, which is we want it to be on the surface. So now, as I draw this, it's putting the stroke right on the mesh. Pretty cool, right?
Yep.
So now, we can start modeling very, very fast by going stroke, 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 stroke. There's a way that you can draw straight lines, but I don't like doing that for B surfaces purposes because the straight line will essentially think of it as 2 vector points, and so as a result, if you're drawing on the surface, it's not going to follow along this curve.
Which you want, yeah.
So now if I hit add surface, B surfaces will generate this mesh. I can change how many crosses there are. Let's say and how many follows there are. So I think we need more of those. Oh, I tried to turn on cycle. Something like that maybe. And now the last step is that all the interpolated verts that you just made are not actually snapped yet. So I'm going to hit L to grab all these linked verts, and hit G, and then it snaps it. So now these are all right on there. When I'm using B surfaces and I'm like going hardcore into retopo, I will actually right click, add a shortcut, Control-Shift-B. So now I can model really fast by saying wee. You'll notice that I'm always drawing from the same point and then down. So I always start at the top, go to the bottom, or start at the bottom, go to the top.
If you don't, will that result in a twist?
What a twist.
Yes.
Eek.
And then I grab them. Go snap. I'm not going to worry about how these connect up yet. I'm just going to draw as many surfaces as I can, and eventually there's not going to be any surfaces left, and I can start filling them in. So here's another example. I know I'm going to want something like this, right? Following these little bumps. So that's a good area for me to do something like that.
How do you get such nice creases?
Pinch. A lot of pinching.
Okay.
Control Shift B with the secret hotkey I added.
No, I'll turn it on, everybody knows.
Don't do that.
Do all your strokes have to be parallel to each other, or can you also define the other way?
You can do stuff that's more complex.
Or does that not help?
You can do something like let's try doing these eyes. So I can go. I can get this to basically curve all the way around. And here I might not want to have that stroke, because I might want this to be a new series of faces coming down.
Sure.
I mean, yeah. The only way to get good at modeling is to model. So.
Yep.
I thought it was to read books about modeling.
Well, there's that too.
And then never touch a computer.
So will this work? Let's see.
Yours.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
What does it define as the last one in the thing? Can it make loops?
You can turn on cyclic, and now it will connect that.
Oh, cool.
Cyclic.
Like cyclical?
Pronounce cyclic. Cyclic is how you get Ebola.
I was just mirrored, so
Yeah, so like it's not mirrored, but this is where you go in and add a mirror modifier. Mirror.
You don't get a Ebola.
And then I'm using the slash key on the number pad to occasionally go in and check my work.
Neat.
We're starting to see this come to fruition.
So the slash key isolates the selection and only shows that.
Yeah.
So you're hiding that.
Yeah. It's a very common thing that ruins Blender experiences for newcomers because they hit it by accident. And they're like, where did everything go? Where's my layers? I can't say what layer I want on. So I want to show a specific example. Let's go like that. You have to be in edit mode. Let's go like that. Control Shift B. Let's have this that's over here. I know that wasn't the right settings. It's way too divided there. And now let's say we have something very similar. What do I do to draw? Do I draw? No, it's right now. And then I have this, right? So now you have the conundrum of, alright, you have all these chunks that you modeled. How do you start sticking them together? That is where F2 comes in. Some of F2's functionality has been added to the default, but F2 is still generally the gold standard for modeling. It's an add-on, you turn it on. And now the F hotkey is a lot more powerful. So I can just hit F and it's going to fill these in for me.
No, press and hold.
Oh, just tap it. Because that's what happens if you press and hold. You get edges going up the wrong side. So, just those two tools, bsurfaces and F2, can really get you very, very far in retopologizing your model. And then eventually,
What was that add-on that you
F2 and bsurfaces. So, if you search F2, it pops up. And then if you search surface, bsurfaces will come up. And now that you kind of understand that, take a look at the finished model again. So I've got nice edge flows, even going along stuff like that vein that's over here. So like this vein, I even have something for that. And the neck, you can see I was able to get a lot of those like Komodo dragon style skin wrinkles in there. Normally you would, if you were modeling by hand rather than retopologizing, you would never have this kind of level of detail because it would just frustrate you to model. But it was actually really relatively easy. I would just, on this guy, uh-oh, I haven't to edit mode on him. So on this guy, all I would do for these would be like 1, 2, 3, 4. I would generate, and I would go 1, 2, 3, generate. I would do it down here. And that would get the whole thing, and then I would just hand edit this weird place that they're connected. But their individual cylindrical amounts were very easy to do. So that is how to retopologize. I would also like to talk about UV unwrapping, especially if anyone here is an expert and you want to give me some feedback. So my thoughts on this are that I want this to be multiple textures, or like I don't want one giant material for the whole character. I want to have a 1024 texture for just the head, a 1024 texture for the body, or a series of them, normals, what have you. And I think the eyeballs and the teeth and stuff would be part of the head model. And then each individual accessory, so like these pauldrons would have one, would be like 512 textures. All this stuff might be one 512 texture. And then also these are going to be just the individual parts of it that are wrapping around. So these are using a modifier stack setup to work on curves. Where are the curves? So these are just, if you look at this mesh, it has something that makes it follow this array. So first off, it has an array that is fit to a curve, which is that curve that I made. And that curve is actually generated off of this model. I basically selected, or I created edges snapped to this, or along this geometry, and then converted it to a curve so that I knew it would fit the geometry to start with. And then you have it applied to a curve, and then you mirror it. Pretty simple. So now I'm getting into the conundrum of unwrapping this and texturing him. If you look at his unwrap, here's what I have so far. My idea here is that this body mesh is actually divided into two main things, which is these plates, varying things, flexible or less flexible. And those are the main thing that you see when you look at this guy, and they should have a lot of texture space devoted to them. And then you have the opposite, which is all this junk in between it, which is all the like seam. And so my theory is that for the unwraps, I want all of these to be in relatively large, accurate placement. So if I select this group and invert it, you can see what I got going on here. I'll unpin them so you can see it a little better. So each of these are unwrapped to fit, and then sort of placed. I made this unwrap actually quite fast. The way I did it was just unwrapping them. So I had all the seams selected. You can see it's a big mess. Oh wait, actually, that's not what I did. So first off, it was a mirror modifier, so like, right around there. This is a modeling thing that I have, just an ongoing pet peeve. Ooh, I gotta fix it on here. Which is, I always like the seam along the center line to be selectable as one poly strip, or one edge loop. And I have a triangle here that's breaking that.
Only if we fix that really easily.
Yeah, I know. But now that's something I gotta do.
By selecting two vertices across the channel.
So if I have a mirror modifier on this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select that group again and invert it. So I have all the innard stuff on a group, and then I invert it. All these I'm gonna unwrap and sort of manually try and get on one side of this UV grid. So basically, blue, dark blue, purple, and red is where I want them. One of the first things I'm going to do is average island scale. Or like, let's say, I think I actually did the opposite. If you had unwrapped all these individually, which I think I did do because on certain things, like the fingers, I was trying to find the exact thing. Average island scale will do nothing. Oh, there it goes. It'll make it so all these islands of faces are equivalent sizes in terms of the texture space. So now it's going to say that if this is, 7 inches or whatever, then this is 7 inches. As for this is unwrapped. Now I can say pack island. And the one problem is we actually want all this on one half of it. So I might scale the whole thing down 66%. Move that over there. And then start filling in this other junk area. Whee. And now I'm trying to not scale it because I want all these to be pretty accurate in texture size. I'm gonna rotate this one. I'll move all these little junks up there. And lastly, these guys up here. Now, on my mirror modifier, I'm going to turn on textures for you. And if I apply this, you're going to have a perfectly mirrored mesh. This is especially helpful if if you do have a seam here. We don't have any seams that are like that because this guy is, for the most part, I guess this. So like this one, you might have, like this might be a seam where you wanted to, before the mirror modifier, do something like, over here, specifically get this row of verts onto that exact pixel, and then when you apply the mirror modifier, you can paint on this object as if it's one texture. But most of these are separate, like they never touch on this area, except it's just this back area and its butt. So that would be the one place that I would fix it. Not the cod piece. Oh yeah, the cod piece. So like those ones I would make aligned to the center. But for the most part, now,
Gotta make the cod piece more pointy.
it was pointy and everyone said it was weird. But now the problem you can see,
Why are you staring at his cod piece?
now you can see that he's off balance because you used to have like this cod piece that was like up here, and that looks balanced, but now it looks like he's gonna fall over, right? So I gotta adjust that. But I'm trying to be good about taking crits. So the reason you mirror this is because otherwise, you know, a lot of things you can mirror, like your diffuse textures and stuff, but normals you can't. You get really sad. So just don't do it.
There are ways.
And then lastly, this is where I'm not sure what I want to do with these. I think these I don't even want to have as UVs. I think they're going to end up just being a procedural material that's like dark velvet. You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at right now. I've also unwrapped the head. And here's an example of where I did that thing I talked about. So I made sure that before I mirrored it, these and these were directly on the center line, so that if I painted on it, so if I paint on it like that, I don't have like the brush here and it's jumping over there. So that's where this project's at. I'm working on it still. You'll have to sit through it again next Seabug, I'm sure. But yeah, that's what I have. Cool stuff. Any questions? No? Who wants to go next?
Okay.
Do it.
Show that nice stuff. What did I plug this?